the sky. We are seeing them riding high and flying fast tonight because we will be bringing the 87's Legend Series of the Cups cars here to the track. This is the NASCAR 87's Legends here down in Talladega Superspeedway, and a big battle ensues here today as the James Wagner's Welding Superspeedway Series comes back to you live from Ruff-Neck Racing League. Hi, everyone. I am Christian Schreiber, joining you back here once again. Great to see everyone on hand and great to have everybody back on the deck. It's time to get down to business here and get to our starting lineup here. So let's take a look at our starting lineup. We'll go on the pole. In the number 67, it'll be Ben Ryan. The outside at 33 is Ben Parson. Row number 2. And the number 30 is James Wagner. The outside, number 3, Justin Phipps. Row number 3. And the 28 is Barry Tolson. The outside, number 13, that is Chris Ramsey. Row number 4. And the number 24 is Nicholas Don Francesco. And the outside, that's 97. That's Adam Sprinkle. Row 5. And the number 58 is Johnny Hurst. The outside, and the number 17 is Ty Trafford. Row number 6 and the 66, Chris Phillips. The outside, and the number 5 is Shane Wielden Sr. Row number 7 and the 98, Eric Copplethorne. The outside, and that's 69. That's Brian Lashbrook. Row number 8 is going to be driven down there by number 6, Patrick Genter. The outside, and number 16 is Mike Streminsky. Row number 9, and the number 93 is Christopher Barker. The outside, and at 99.9, it's going to be a Brandon Biggs in the and then finally, in our final starter for row 10, it is the 21 for Alex Foster. And shotgun of the field, the number 2, Tim Richardson. That is your starting lineup here for this one. Man, oh man, what a field we got on hand. What a drive we have up ahead for you race fans. This one, very, very interesting in concept. I'm honestly very excited to see how this will fare out and how this will shake up a bit. These 87 Cup Series cars, replicated to be almost like very back in the day, designed for pure speed and power. And yes, that 87 is very, very relevant, because if you remember right, this was during the Aero Wars, way, way back in the day, when Ford, Chevy, Buick, Pontiac, they all had a name and a place in the racing world. Today in iRacing, they are now predicated and preserved on the track and on the circuits. And now they're about to go one-on-one once again at full speed, full song, full power here in iRacing's Talladega Superspeedway. Track conditions looking good here. Going to be interesting to see how that fares and shakes out for a lot of these drivers. It'll definitely test a few of them and really bring out the worst and the best of others. But this one will all be determined on pure control and momentum here as you lead them down off the front straightaway here. 50 laps of the distance here for James Wagner's Welding Superspeedway Series. Ruff-Neck Racing is in age. Sarah Lashbrook joining us on the commentary section here. Says, pretty good field tonight. Let's go 6-9, Sarah. Great to have you on board today. We'll continue to moderate the comment section and see who's all with us and who's joining us with on the track as we lead them down off of turn number 2 to the back straightaway. All 4 manufacturers represented in this one. 1 Pontiac, 1 Buick. The rest, Fords and Chevys, are mixed entwined with this field today. This isn't going to be a normal super speedway kind of racing package either, folks. These cars, they're going to be good on those fresh tires out of the gate here, but what is going to happen is this is going to take a turn for the worse. These things are the hardest and the toughest super speedway racing cars on the entire circuit, if you don't count the IndyCar Delaras, the Delara DW12 and the Delara IR18. If you do not count those, then by all means, this is the hardest. But in terms of a stock car, this is the hardest to control, the hardest to master, for one simple reason. These things are not restricted. They are full speed, full power, full send. They do not care. These guys tonight are going to be reaching quite the speeds upwards of over 220 miles per hour in the lanes and in the speeds here. These things are ludicrously fast and ludicrously tough to tame. Even getting upwards of speeds of over 230 miles per hour, they can reach up to, if I'm corrected, feel free to let me know, but they are about 250 to 65 miles per hour on an average speed if they want to go full bore, full send. Ben Parson right now still right up in the lane choice there with Ben Ryan there right in the mix there behind. The number 33 of Parson currently leading it down with Tolson, dealing with Don Francesco here, the only Buick up on the outside here, and that Pepsi Cola old school style, number 24. Man, there are some schemes in here I cannot wait to talk with you guys about and let you know like some of their backstory and their history. But at the moment right now, it is the number 28 of Barry Tolson getting the early leg up and getting the early advantage as the number 33 of Ben Parson works his field up on the outside. The number 3, Justin Phipps, he is driving to car today that is very representative, I think, of someone you may know very well. The old Intimidator before he went to being the man in black. He was the man in yellow and blue for the Wranglers Monte Carlo in the Chevy crew. That is being represented today there by Justin Phipps here. He's always had a little bit of love for the old Intimidator and got to get the schemes out there. I don't blame him. I do still think that, honestly, that font scheme should be something they probably should have done in the regular NASCAR world instead of the ones they did, but to each their own. A little Pontiac scheme up there, the Kodak racing machine. Ah, the old Sterling Marlin days and the old times there of that Kodak scheme. Certainly something to keep your eye on a little bit, as there's also a little bit of problems up on the outside lane. The number 3 of Justin Phipps and the 77 of Adam Sprinkle clearing right off of turn number 2 into the wall protection, managing to recover though. But you got to think too, when these cars were running, they never had those safer barriers. They had literally a hard concrete they smashed into, and they had to literally figure out if they were going to even get out of that one scot-free or they were going to end up on the chopping block. The fact that they smacked that wall right there and stayed at least relatively okay, and the car is in one piece, that kind of should tell you a little bit now, shouldn't it? A little bit of some more paint schemes go through in the lineup here. Kellogg's is number 98 of Eric Copperthorne. I think a lot of people really know that scheme well from the 5 days of old Terry Labonte. Texas Terry ran that scheme quite a bit, and now being represented today on the Chevy Monte Carlo scheme of the 87's. Not a bad look by any means of the imagination. Looks like Tolson a little bit of trouble there up on the wall protection yet again. Gonna try to get out of the way a little bit. There's trouble right up ahead. Ensuing in front on the front straightaway. Crash up there. One car upside down. We've got a wreck. We've got a wreck. Caution is out. Major trouble there for the number 77 of Adam Sprinkles. He blows over off of the front straightaway from turn number 4 and ends up on his roof, but he seems to at least be able to drive off. Great machine there to be saved up and not taken completely out of the race here, but we got to take a look at the replay and see what happened here. This is your Speed Zone TV Instant Replay, presented in part by Ipswich Bay Soap Company. Yeah, you can just see how loose these things are and how hard they are to handle and control. But look at this, just flips right over. Almost, I thought he ended up on the top of his roof. No, actually, he only landed right on the side there. A great move there to be able to stay out of trouble and get himself squared up. But my word, he went for a wild, wild ride there and almost ended up sending himself back to the shadow realm. One more look at it here. And again, these cars are so difficult to drive because the fact is you're constantly in that throttle. You're trying to steer these things while the steering is not a one-to-one. This thing feels more like you're driving what I've been told, like a power boat. Or like one of those little boats that has literally just the rotor and that's it. That's how tough these things are in that situation and in that drive line. One more look at it here and then we'll go ahead and figure out who is the root of the cause here. And honestly, got to put it on the 77 in my opinion. Caught right into the number 33 of Ben Parson. He goes up a little bit and just smacks and tags him. It looks like he did suffer damage on the right side and the left-hand corner panel. That will, in my opinion, play a factor in this case. And that was your Speed Zone TV Instant Replay brought to you in part by Ipswich Bay Soap Company. Field going to go into pit road here. We'll see how they fare off of the pits. Again, the number 77 will be taking the EOL in this case here. Yeah, definitely a tough break there for them, obviously, but nothing you can really do about it in this case. Ben Ryan looks like he'll be the one out of pit road first. Everybody right now getting themselves out of pit road here. As it looks like the number 17, the 77, going to remain in pit road for the moment. Sarah Lash was saying it looks like it was the number 77 as well on that front there. So looks like the race control at least staying one step ahead and staying in connection here with everything as they are supposed to, of course. Field now going to work their way back from the front half now, work their way themselves back into the spot here. Field working their way down off turn number 4 here. We'll have just 1/5 of the way completed here as they will push and drive these things down into the ground here for Ruff-Neck Racing. Look for the drivers to get hot on the charge and hot on that heavy hand here as they look to get some momentum built up. Down off the front straightaway here, looking to the precision fencing gauge restart zone, and it's green flag back opened up from the gates to the track down below. Ben Ryan immediately going to get the jump out of the gate there, and Chris Phillips looking right there with him. Wagner going to need to get a little bit of a push coming off that back straightaway to build some speed here. And just like that, I just said a second ago, needs that push, needs that shove. Again, I'm telling you guys, these things, they can get a huge run going, but man, are they ever so enticing to control and having to figure out. They are as hard to master as they are hard to handle. But the best thing about them, again, is because of the fact they're so unstable and really hard to nail down, it forces you as a driver to conserve your tires and conserve your fuel more than ever. We talk about how hard it is to conserve fuel and how hard it is to control yourself down there. Well, imagine what it's like when you're trying to control your length of the run and your length of the speed here. We're kicking it back to a little bit of that Valvoline days with old Mark Martin down there as Alex Foster drives supposed to be the number 21 scheme, but he kind of forgot to tape the 21 on the old 6 there. I will allow him to have this one in this case, but nevertheless, it's still a beautiful paint scheme and beautiful rendition of what was once back in the day. Big charge up ahead there for Christopher Parker as the 93 machine from the Ford Thunderbird camp, trying to get some Hornets momentum going here. What do you know here? You got 3 of the manufacturers in the top 4 here. Chevy, Buick, and Ford are your top 4 guys. And Christopher Parker, mind you as well, he started back at 17th spot. So he is currently our Hard Charger Award recipient. He's gotten 13 spots up so far, looking to make it 14, I should say, as Nicholas Don Francesco now makes that big jump. Huge on the momentum and hard on the charge. He reels that thing back up and down, and he will make the pass on Chris Phillips. Interesting strategy and style here as he works up high, brings in all that momentum. Again, you get such a drive off those corners and off those runs. You just need one car in front of you, and that's all it takes. But the problem is, if you got one car behind you that decides to push and run and shove, well, let's just say you best know how to figure this one out. This is absolute insanity here as the momentum continues to cook. Barry Tollison right now working hard on that back. You can see again just how quick these things are coming. This is a better idea of just how fast they are. They are literally at high speed momentum and at high speed control, digging into the clutches of this asphalt ground of Talladega. Sarah Lashbrook in the comments saying, I think Tim is running a Rusty Wallace paint scheme down there. Old Tim Richardson down there. Indeed he is. That is the genuine draft number 2, a paint scheme I think a lot of people are well aware. Back in the days, that was when him and old Earnhardt, those two could not leave each other alone. And the funny thing is, that is a very familiar paint scheme to me because I do recall, I believe it was in 1991 or it was in 93, that those were the 2 heavy hitters. And honestly, a bit of a kind of a debate way back when. It was basically Rusty Wallace had 9 or 10 wins in the season versus Earnhardt's 2, but the sheer consistency of Earnhardt outmatched Rusty Wallace in that season format. I still argue to this day, though, consistency should be everything in a full season format, so deservingly, Earnhardt won that championship fair and square. But I do understand the other side of it, that you should have been given more points for winning a race, considering how tough it is to win out here. Only that NASCAR had thought about that before they decided to change it in 2004. But at least, the very least, they at least got it right for the most part now. They're starting to change it. But they've got a long way to go, in my opinion, before we ever get to old school NASCAR. Speaking of old school NASCAR, I know that one there. That Skull Bandit, old handsome Harry Gantz machine. Oh, that bad boy right there. That is a beautiful looking scheme there. And funny thing is, for those that don't know, that is also that whole team that handsome Harry Gant had ran for way back when, especially in his 1990s campaign, 91 and 92. He actually is still today one of the oldest drivers to ever win a NASCAR Cup Series race. It still has not been topped. Came close. Mark Martin almost got him there, but Harry Gant still holds the record. And if you hear Mr. September, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that scheme as well was also funded in large part as well from a famous actor out there that actually payrolled the scheme on that, so he was able to get more money on the cameras and more money on that car. Famous story out there is that Harry Gant wasn't really one for being in front of a camera. So what his team owner and them said is like, if you're not in front of a camera, you better be going to find one and start chatting. Otherwise, somebody will be driving that car that's not you. So old handsome Harry Gann having to change from his from the old good old boy Southern ways to having to kind of enter into the spotlight a little bit down there. Hard to believe things have just completely gone the way they've done and the way things are from back in those days to now. But I'll tell you this, the fighting spirit and that charge to win and that charge to get the victories, well, let's just say that's never changed. That's always been around. Oh! Oh, hold on down there. Hold on, Chris. Hold on. Nice save. Oh, he's still loose, though. He's trying to get it squared back up. Got to get it back on the stretch. There he does. Oh, my goodness. What a save there from Chris Phillips there. He, unfortunately, lost all that speed and ground. But, man, you want to talk about wild saves. He gets a nasty, nasty tag in the back. I believe that might have been there from the 24 or the 28. I can't remember exactly, but I know Chris had got a nasty little tag in the back corner panel. And the next thing you know, whoo, boy, he went for a ride there. He saved it with all his steering and all his control there. Great driving on his part. Take another look at it in just a second because right now the battles are continuing to heat up front here still. The 24 there, Nicholas Don Francesco still going hard there with Barry Tolson. As he continues to deal with trouble there right behind him. Well, I said a second ago, we're going to go take a look at the replay for that number 66 of Chris Phillips here. And, man, he went for a wild, wild ride there coming off down the lane, down through the chute. We had our chopper cam on it. Let's take a look at it. So Nicholas Don Francesco here, you see right on the front straightaway here on the tri-oval. Just catches him slightly here, and look at this save here, folks. Again, that may not look like much to you, but you got to remember something. These things are as bad to hard as they are to control, as they are hard to master. So when you all of a sudden get a huge little whiff of a breeze and get hit like that, well, let's just say you're pretty much just figuring yourself, what the heck did I do to deserve that? Here's the onboard camera. Look at this. Hitting that gas pedal off, backs off the gas pedal. Look at the steering. Look at this. Little tap of the brake, center point, get off the gas, maybe slight clutch. Great save. And back to your live feed right now here still as the battle continues to heat up front for the race lead. Ben Ryan, number 67, still continuing to fight hard there with Nicholas Don Francesco. Christopher Parker also in that mix, a little bit of tag again. There's Thomas Barry Tolson tagging on the back of the 67. Almost four wide there, three there of Justin Phillips. Man, I don't know what you're doing, sir, but no. Oh. Huge wreck ensuing up ahead. Ben Ryan and Parker have wrapped hard off the turn number 1 and 2 walls. And the big one strikes for two of them. Oh my goodness, race fans. Nasty, nasty collision ensuing right off the corner here. Let's take a look at the replay. Watch this. Oh, that I can already tell you who was responsible for that one. But look at the damage just caused there. 3 cars involved, 5 actually, getting nasty collision there, and just the sheer hit there of the 67. Oh my goodness. Justin Phillips there. Again, I don't think by any means he was intentionally trying to do that. I think he was trying to get some speed going. But look right there. There you see it right there. There's the first hit. And he's trying to let that 93 Hornet machine square up, but nope, not to be. But nevertheless, that still is a hit in the gas pedal here. And again, right there, there he is. There's the initial contact, and yep, there you go. Take one more look at it here. Let's look at it from basically point A to point B here. So here's the first hit. There's the tag by Tolson. Again, he gets Ben Ryan loose here. Here comes Justin. Tries to get down low, catches the 93 Hornet. And there is a little, I just remembered a little thing about that too there, but there you just see the contact, and there was the disaster. Oh my goodness. Oh, those collisions are the worst, man. And the fact is, like, those just absolutely torment on so many levels. So the 3 of Justin Phipps going to go to the back of the field here. Oh my goodness. That 93 of Christopher Barker, he was driving a paint scheme that is actually a old video game from the Daytona series that Sega used to make for the arcades out there. For those that did not know, that is the Daytona USA scheme, if you know that name. And unfortunately, finds himself not being able to run it from Talladega to Daytona today, and just a terrible, terrible break. The 67 there, Ben Ryan, he's going to do everything he can to get that thing fixed up and back on the track, but I think his day may be over with, unfortunately. What a terrible, terrible break for the race starter, fastest qualifier, and in my opinion, probably was one that these drivers were going to really have to watch out for down there. His day all but over. So the field now going to have to square back up here once again. Sarah, I have read your comment, by the way. I haven't forgot about you down there. I'm going to get to that little comment here right now, actually. For those as well that are wondering, although I am very curious to know why did Chris Luma decide, Ramsey, excuse me. I don't know why I said Luma. I apologize there, Chris. Chris Ramsey decided to go with the Lumina Chevy body panel on literally a Ford Thunderbird. I guess if anything, I might as well try to hide it. But no, that is a Ford Thunderbird he's driving, and he decided to put the Chevy body paint on the Lumina. I'm not saying it's bad looking by any means. It's just, to me, it's really funny when you got a Ford 8730 Thunderbird having to drive with this thing around with the fact that it is a Chevy. But nevertheless, he is driving a Days of Thunder scheme out there. That is the City Chevrolet. I think many of you guys know exactly who that is a reference to. That is the old Cole Trickle scheme down there. There is another one down there, though, if I can find him here, that is also on the track. Oh, real quick on this Ty Trafford here. That Folger scheme there, I know that one pretty well as well. Ty Trafford, he's driving a scheme that is very, very reminiscent as well to the Junior Johnson days of racing as well. When he was also out there doing his crew chief and everything, he actually was the one that also had kind of got Folgers onto the circuit and onto the racing world. So he's actually very responsible for bringing them around too, if you did not know that. And then, of course, there is the rival of Cole Trickle there, the Mellow Yellow for Brian Lashbrook. And I'll give Brian this at least. If at least he made sure to put the Chevy logos on a Chevy car. But that is the Mellow Yellow scheme of Brian Lashbrook, Cole Trickle's rival in the movies. And ironically enough, it sounds like they may be actually doing a sequel in due time. Field now going to square back up once again here, race fans, and get themselves back out on the circuit. We are nearly halfway done with this one. And nobody right now has been giving an inch to the other. No one has been giving any time or opportunities to lose here. Very, very, very interesting lineup here. It's Buick and Pontiac that will lead us down on the front straightaway. How many times in a broadcast have I ever said that? But nevertheless, leading us down off the front straightaway here, looking towards the halfway point here, lined up to the green. Green flag back on out here in Talladega. Johnny Hurst in that 58 machine right now, currently right on the charts there with Nicholas Don Francesco. Buick versus Pontiac here. And here comes that Chevy there. Mike Struminski puts the Skull Bandit to work. He's hard on the gas pedal down on the bottom stretch here off the back now, entering through turn number 3. The Superflow, number 66, as well as Chris Phillips looking on. Trying to see some momentum and trying to see some game-changing plans here. There's a little bit of that Kellogg's Corn Flakes, old Texas Terry scheme there of Eric Oppenthorn also in the mix and in the hunt. Everyone now just trying to get to the bottom lane. Again, they're probably just trying more than anything to keep themselves clear of trouble, defend the bottom, and use that tire strategy to their advantage and use it to their best momentum case here. When you're kicking up speeds of over 230 to 240 miles per hour, well, let's just say you guys probably want to save those tires up as much as you can for that big final run, that final push, if you will. That's exactly what they've been trying to do all racing day long. And they are doing a good job of it, in my opinion, staying in control of their own destinies. James Wagner, the number 30, again, he started in the 3rd spot today, currently moved back down to the 11th position. Finds himself in a little bit of a troublesome spot here because he's kind of in that mid-pack shoot, that kind of mid-pack drive. Again, that could change really quickly here if you get the momentum cooking and get some power under the hood. But the biggest problem, I've always said before, when you're racing in these kind of dilemmas, in this kind of situation, you're always hard on the throttle and always hard on the momentum boost and control. So staying one step ahead of the other and staying one step ahead of everyone else certainly can make a difference here. And Ben Ryan, I have no idea how the heck he put that 67 back together after that thing was tore up. But that pit crew down there got to work, and it is only 2 laps down. So it has a fighting chance here, folks. Don't count that 67 out. He gets a chance here. He will fight hard. He will come scratching and clawing back in this one. And he's already working it. He's trying to get some momentum cooking on that top side. You got to be thinking, is he maybe just trying to get a little bit of revenge as well for some of the other drivers earlier, or is he trying to work himself into a bit of a lane gap here? We've got a tandem drafting here as Barry Tolson gets a huge push from the 67, the same car that ended up tagging him off the front straightaway earlier on before Chaos decided to show her very natural self. And now Mike Struminski there right on the outside lane as well, pushing hard there with the 67. He now makes the move, and he is now your new race leader. The Skull Bandit back on the top of the racing pack world. Who would have thought? If memory serves me too, I think Skull, don't they still serve like their products out there? I'm not going to say on television what they sell, but I think they still sell them out there, don't they? We obviously, that 24 Pepsi machine still sells what they sell out there. We know that much. I don't think Pepsi Cola is ever going to go away, if I'm being completely honest. Kind of like Coca-Cola, you just can't get rid of them. But then again, you know, they may have a little prohibition on sodas one day. Who knows? I'm not insinuating that for any second there, folks, so do not try to quote me your content or try to steal that content from me there. Moving up on the outside again, Johnny Hurst in the only Pontiac here, trying to get the Kodak Racing scheme up, working fast and up, working tight. Finding every little lane choice and every spot he can again. Probably trying to get a picture-perfect run going. But so far seems to kind of find himself in a bit of a lull point here. Let's go on board here with Justin Phillips for a second. I want you guys to pay close attention to how they work the steering wheel, how they work these turns. You may have noticed that. Listen to that. You hear that? That is literally the sound of those tires skirting and scooting around because it, oh my. I was just going to say that is the tires having to try to grip at that kind of level, that kind of speed again. The technology wasn't quite as much there as it is nowadays, but man, for how much things have changed and how hard these things are to handle control, you got to believe one thing's for sure. They are absolutely crazy as it can be to work through and deal with on a numerous amount of levels. But holy smokes, folks. What a move off there, as Barry Tolson had a lot of company coming up on his back doorstep there from the 66. And he manages to make it up to third, but that could have been crazy bad there for that 28. He's found himself in a couple of those positions already, and somehow, some way, finds a way out of it before it gets too ugly. Like, here's another good look on board here with Adam Sprinkle. Again, you can see the stick shifter, that stick there. That's a lot different than what most people remember. That's the old school stick. That is literally the most manual sticks you can get. Those things were hard to clutch and hard to get squared up, and they only had 4 gears in them. It's not like today in the NASCAR Cup Series where they have 5 gears in them, and they are sequential shifters. This was the day and age of strictly 4 shifter style and everything else. 4 gears to shift, and then of course reverse. Oh, hold on down there, Nicholas. Whoo, boy, yeah, up in the wall. Bring it back down. Just keep it slow, steady, buddy. There you go. All right. Nicholas getting a little bit too tight down the bottom there. Got on the apron lane there. And just like what we saw at Atlanta here from these drivers just a couple of weeks ago, when you get down that bottom and you catch that corner just right, man, this thing will send you for the ride, and it will send you to a different place. Some places are known for certain things. I call it the shadow realm because it is a place you don't want to go. Let's get back in the pack a little bit here right now as that field up front doing a hard work in charge. You got a couple of other guys here still hammering down, still trying to figure out their lane shots and their choices here. And I can't believe I can't even forgot about that old Levi Garrett machine. That's another Texas Terry Labonte scheme. That is during the Hendrick days, and that was one of his younger days, honestly. This was before the domination of Hendrick Motorsports came in later. Funny story about that too is that it really was all at Martinsville just a few short years before the 87's Cup Series came out. That actually had drew the ire of Hendrick and Mr. Rick Hendrick. They actually did not want to race anymore after Martinsville. The only reason they continued on, despite all the struggles and pressure, was the fact that Rick Hendrick said to his team, if you don't come back with a grandfather clock, we're done packing up shop. So what did they do? They brought home a grandfather clock. And no, I'm not saying that they had bought it and just decided to act like they won. No, they literally won that race that day. And who would have thought that that little butterfly effect created one of the top series in terms of top teams and top series drivers and teams overall in the NASCAR division. And right now these drivers are trying their best to try to continue on that legacy and try to continue on what these 87s represent and what they have brought to the table. And just as a little side note too, if there's one car I feel like that has been less changed from iRacing and honestly still is about as close to the real thing as you can get, I would argue it's probably these things. It's not the easiest car to figure out. It's not the easiest to deal with. It is very difficult to master, and no matter where you're at, this car will, well, let's just put it nicely, it'll put some hair on your chest. This car is not to be messed with. You either figure it out or you respect it and don't do anything silly out there. But in my opinion, it's probably one of the best cars that iRacing has ever produced on the service. Just hoping one day we can kind of get the same going for all the other series out there. Get that same kind of feel, that same kind of flavor in terms of not being so easy to get into and figure out how to race. Oh, and speaking of not easy to figure out, we got problems there off turn number 2. Trouble off turn number 2. Nicholas Donfrancesco has collided on the backside there with the 77 of Adam Sprinkle once again. This time, though, Sprinkle not able to get out of this mess unscathed. Take another look at it here, coming right off turn number 2. Honestly, I don't have to really do too much looking here. I kind of saw it as I saw it, and that one was pretty simple to see. Nicholas getting right into the wall protection. Again, it gets a little tight right off here. The 77 trying to stay out of the way, keep it down. Unfortunately, he tags him right on the lane choice there. The 24 does, and just sent into a tough little spin there. Not nearly as violent as it could have been, obviously, but that is still not a hit anybody wants to feel. It's the onboard camera here of the number 93. Oh, those hits, man, they're violent. And that's even, see him just blasting around there. And that, again, holding very stable there, considering he had a hard hit, but that is a hit nobody wants to feel. And again, Nicholas going to have to go to the back of the pack here, cause the caution to come out here on lap number 37. A tough break there for him, unfortunately. But the biggest thing is, again, you got to still try to find a way to keep control of your emotions, keep control of the car, and stay out of trouble. And he just found a terrible break there coming down off the lane. See who makes out of pit road here. Ben Ryan going to be the first one out. He was technically ahead of everyone out of that, but he's not a lap. He's still a lap down, as much as I hate to tell him this. Out of pit road, it will be Chris Phillips. That will be your top gunner. Here comes the rest of the field as well, down off of pit road. And you got to be wondering now, just literally with time elapsing and time remaining, chances running low, opportunities getting less and less and very fewer. How much is that affecting and shaping these drivers up, you wonder? And you can already hear they're clutching a bit too on the fuel. So now fuel is actually playing a big factor here. Looking at our pit lane stops here, everybody took tires and fuel out of pit road. So I'm still trying to figure out a way to get back on the lead lap here like Ben Ryan, the 67. I think if they allow him here, I think he'll actually get a chance here to jump back ahead of the pace car. As long as they allow it here on the 1 to go. If they will, that'll give him his lap back and give him a shot, but he's going to need to really get quick here to get back around to the field because, again, it's 2.66 miles in length. This is not a short track, guys. Well, race fans, if you're still here with us and still chatting amongst us, who do we got? Who do you think? Who is going to be coming today in victory lane? Could it be the 66 of Chris Phillips? Could it be the 16 of Mike Straminski? Could it be maybe the number 58 of Johnny Hurst? Perhaps I think someone might know their answer. Would it be the 69 of Brian Lashbrook? Maybe we're seeing the number 2 of Tim Richardson, the Hard Charger Award recipient. at the moment? Or are we thinking the number 5 of Shane Welding Sr.? All these guys either at some point or another got a win on the Superspeedway series, and all of them have also been right on the tail end and on the cusp of getting to the top level and to the top of brackets here. This could be their final chance at getting into the victory lane. 10 laps remaining, points championship series still on for grabs and opportunities on the line. Here they come off the front straightaway here off turn number 4. Pace car is going to roll out of this lane here and now going to send us back down. Looking for a little sky-high speed, sky-high power on the track. Everybody wants up east of victory lane today, but only one's going to come out on top. Off the front straightaway down to the green flag lane. 10 laps remain here for the James Wagoner's Welding Ruff-Neck Racing Superspeedway Series. Ooh, trouble there for Strminski. Did not get off the line the way he wanted to, and man, he certainly showed it. Oh boy, you don't want to get too close to that corner panel. Oh my goodness, he got a little closer to that corner panel at 69 than I thought he should have. He manages to back out of it and get out of the way in time. Coming from a front runner, 4 runners here. That 3 of Justin Phipps now. He's back in the fight. And he's scratching and clawing down there, trying to get some momentum cooked up and spewed around the track. Every driver themselves right now as they continue to maintain distance and control. Which one, though, is going to get the top honors on the top spot as they lead them back down on through the lanes? Chris Phillips right now holding the bottom lane up, looking to maybe steer clear and watch them make it to victory lane in this one. Glassbrook, though, big run, huge run. Phipps got a little push and backslide in there. He's pushing hard on that 69 right now, and he is doing everything he can to get him right where he wants him. Can he stay in control? Lashbrook is your new leader, but that's not saying much when you got 8 laps still need to be done. 8 more circuits around, 8 more times around the 2.66 mile beast out of Talladega. I have no idea how Adam Sprinkle is still in this one, let alone even still running, but that thing is literally cooked up, damaged up, and been torn to pieces, and having to put all the fiberglass back on it. I gotta believe probably been a workaround in itself. But he is still in it. Big pushers and shovers as they go 3 wide down the back straightaway. Phipps this time is now your race leader, but Shane Welding Sr. now, he's in the mix and in the hunt with many hardcore runners coming from behind. No one wants to give an inch to the other. They only want to take the top spot away and get themselves into victory lane. Opportunities ripe, opportunities going quick, but they're coming and going. These guys are not going to let up either. I'm guaranteeing you this much. Those tires are going to be burnt, shredded, and tore up more than anything you've ever seen from a super speedway race. They will not let up. Chris Phillips now getting one up ahead of Phipps. No, I am not misspeaking. That is his name on my end. Phipps, P-H-I-P-P-S. Phillips and Phipps right now firing hard. Hurst right there on the bottom lane trying to shoot through the gap. Phipps now back to the top. He's defending. But is it good to block that much? Again, that's a tough road to lead yourself in because one big run from someone, you get the wrong push, and that's what will happen! Oh, look out! No, no, no! Oh my goodness, nasty, nasty collision right off the front straightaway here for the number 3 of Justin Phipps, and a horrible break ensuing. Oh my goodness. Again, I was worrying and wondering, was that blocking going to cost him? And it did. We'll take a look at the replay again. It's hard to say who's at fault completely until you see it. Oh, I hate to say that one, but that one looks like the 66 didn't have enough time, and at the same time had enough time to get away from taking that 3 to the Shadow Realm, and unfortunately the 3 found himself thrown there anyway. He's gone back to pit road. We're going to take a couple of angle looks at it. This one's going to be hard to call. Because again, you got to think that 3, he was blocking like crazy. Was he completely clear of the 66? I would argue yes. Oh man, talk about violent roll. Oh my goodness. Oh, all right, let's take one last look at it here. I do not mean to get anybody squeamish here, but here you go. That's what it's like when you flip over. Sarah Lashbrook says the crashes in these cars are violent. Yeah, no, you're not lying on that one. They are extremely violent. They are chaotic as they are crazy. Well, there is massive damage to that 66. He's going to try and fight it out with it. I don't know how well it's going to work for him, though. The officials are saying they're just going to let him run it here. Can't quite tell for sure who is going to really be at fault, considering if you kind of look at it from this angle, both drivers had basically just went full bore on one another. One was blocking, the other was trying to get ahead, and then maybe didn't have enough time to get the brakes put on and kind of square the thing up as much as they'd like to, and unfortunately causing that massive collision. That means with only 2 laps to go, when they come back around, it's a green-white checkered. And remember, they don't have very many options in terms of those green-white checkers. Again, those as they put it, overtime rules only allow you so many times. Well, Another chance here for Phillips. Johnny Hurst, that 58. He started back in 9th position today. He is 8 spots up. Phillips started in the 11th spot. He is now 9 spots as well up in this one. "13 spots for Mike Streminsky. Started in 16th, made his way up to this position. And then, of course, the number 2 of Tim Richardson. He started all the way back in the lowest level of the pack and dead last. And now look at him here. A shot at becoming the ultimate Hard Charger Award recipient. One of these drivers is going to go to victory lane today, but which one shall it be? A who's who of heavy hitters right now looking to square themselves back up, looking to maintain control and speed into the distance. Opportunities running low, chances extremely high of chaos to ensue. How much of that damage of that 66 is going to play a factor in this restart? And will anybody be able to keep momentum going through this one? The opportunities are now set in motion. The chances of these drivers knowingly getting themselves into this madness and this chaos, well regarded and well known. And this time around, we're going to see them sending it back on down. Off the front straightaway now with one last chance possibly or more to go. Their first green-white checkered attempt on a natural race basis. Coming to us here right off. Up to front straightaway here, leading it down. Green flag, gonna fly on high with 2 laps left to finish this off. Oh, no, no, oh, no. The big one struck. Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness. Well, as Justin Phipps just said in our comment section, that was fun until it wasn't. Oh, no. Oh. We'll have 2 green-white checkered attempts here, but we gotta do our piece of business. We gotta look at the replay. Let's take a look at it. We only saw the 58 get off the line. I don't know what happened from there. Well, from the looks of my point of view, that looks like the number 2 was trying to go off the line, and the 66's damage was a little too much for his own good. And unfortunately, just send us into this mess. Another look at it here. You know, I'm kind of wondering, did the 66 miss shift there? If you look at the, now again, I'm not trying to come up with excuses on the 2 here. We got to keep in mind though, we're trying to look at everything from that point of view and that vantage point. Was there a miss shift? Let's listen. There it is, right there. You can hear it. That it is. It is a miss shift. You can hear it. You can hear the engine revving and roaring there. You saw the red light actually was still on. That means he was hitting the highest level of those speedometers and those gears. That is a miss shift on the number 66. Not the best time for that to happen though by any means. And obviously, it's going to land him in more trouble than he wants to admit. He's going to try to hurry back into pit road and get it squared up, but that was indeed a miss shift. That is not on the number 2 there for just a bad push. That actually was because he had nowhere to go with Phillips hitting a miss shift there. Oh boy, but at the end of the day, that miss shift is not a good spot when you're literally in the top spot and you miss shift like that. Oh no. That is not a place you want to be at. Ryan Lash, we're going to get out of pit road quickly. I think he might have done a little something special there. Yeah, he did a little pit time there, took fuel. I thought maybe he was going to take tires, but he may be out of tires here. But unfortunately, Chris Phillips at this point out of the race. We've already lost Christopher Barker. Looks like Barry Tolson's out. Phipps, of course, is out. Brandon Biggs didn't even get off the line today. Car problems down there for that Chevy. Ty Trafford, looks like the 17 is out. Oh, hey, I guess there's some life left in the 66 and the 16. Sarah asking there, how did he not get the meatball flag? Well, let's just say I'm pretty sure they have a little instant repairs down there. Well, the 66 are already going to be in the very back of the field here, so really there's no point in trying to argue that one. He will be the one that is receiving the EOL for that one, but he is already in the back, so the official is going to make sure they let him run it through. So here we go. All drivers now with 2 laps left to go. Their first of 2 green, white checker attempts. I gotta wonder this too. Like back in the day when these things had cars to run like this, like I can only imagine what it would have been like if they had these green, white checkered restarts. Speaking of problems, that could be a major problem with that study 7 of Adam Sprinkle. He's missing the entire back end there. That whole trunk hoodlet is gone. I'm not saying it won't hurt him too badly, but let's just say usually damaged cars don't work well on super speedway races. Maybe on the short tracks I could give him the excuse it could work, but not on this track. I will not give him that excuse. That thing is going to basically hold him down like a parachute coming down from the heavens above to the ground below. We'll see if he's able to hang on just a little bit, though, and can maybe keep a distance here. Johnny Hurst, Tim Richardson going to lead us down on this restart. Man, who on earth is going to be able to finish this one, let alone unscathed? We're about to find out with only 2 laps to go and our first of only 2 green, white checkers. If we have to use that last one, the next caution or flag ends this race, no matter what. The pressure mounting, seatbelts strapped up tighter, hands stronger and gripped up harder than ever on a racing wheel, feet remaining calm, but it will not be for long. Off the front straightaway, looking for the green flag, restart zone. Into the Ipswich Bay Soap Company. Restart zone they go. This is their chance. Here we go. Much better restart. Sprinkle. I told you that thing was going to be like a parachute holding him down. I wasn't lying. Everybody squirming to avoid him. Trying to get ahead. Tim Richardson going to the bottom. Now trying to look for the slingshot. Hurst will lead him. Off the back straightaway here, Chris Ramsey now looking to give him a slingshot pass as well. Here comes the number 21 of Alex Foster. Trying to plant the Valvoline machine up into a spot. The Thunderbird is trying to make some momentum and make some roars. Johnny Hurst, though, continues to lead him down. Here we go. White flag this time on by. Presented by Precision Fence and Gate Industries. Hurst holding on. Foster with help on the back. Don Francesco right behind him. Moving down the back straightaway. Looking for the opening. Don Francesco tries to squeeze through. He becomes the meat of the sandwich as the rest of the field comes gliding down off the back. We've got one upside down. They flip hard. They're 3 wide down off of turn number 3. And there goes Stravinsky. He's been lost as well. Trapped into the mix. Hurst somehow, some way, still hanging on. Don Francesco with the slingshot. Makes this move to the outside. Ben Ryan with one last chance. Here they come to the finish line. It's going to be Don Francesco to the line, but just barely holds on. What a race. Chaos ensuing behind him. James Wagner and Johnny Hurst coming second and third respectfully to the line. Ben Ryan, despite being a complete 2 laps down, found a way to come back from the back and scavenge and scourge his way to a chance at victory, but will end up just a few positions short. Wow! Don Francesco with possibly the run that he could have found in so many ways. Never before, and possibly never again going to get that kind of break that easily. Somehow, someway though, he is your race winner today in the Pepsi Cola 24. And if I'm seeing this right from our Speed Zone TV shots here and our rules here, I believe he's actually or not rules, but our results in race finishes. I think he's literally our first Buick driver to ever win on the show. And that was before our name change too, even. So he's the first one to ever get it done. What do you know? A Buick Ford Pontiac finish. And I have no idea how the heck Wagner was able to get that thing where he just did, but he somehow will finish it right with the other field. Here is the race results, folks. My word, what a race this one was. Nicholas Don Francesco will get the victory on a last lap slingshot to the outside, just barely keeping ahead of James Wagner. Johnny Hurst will go third in this one. Ben Ryan, 2 laps down, scavenges, and fights back to a top 5. Eric Oppenthorn going to go 5th. Alex Foster made a huge dash and a move on the outside, but found himself trapped and did not have enough of a slingshot pass to get around. Patrick Enter finding a way to kind of stay in this top 10 bracket all day, just did not quite get it to where he wanted to there. Brian Lashbrook, huge runs there, still finishing hard where he could. Comes up home 8th. Night to Chris Ramsey as well. Man, he was in there. He was in the picture. He just never got past that top 5, it seemed like, and that was his doom spot today. At Adam Sprinkle, what can you say? A top 10 for him and his team. Despite that, back basically turning into a parachute, holding him down to end this one out. We are now going down here, race fans, to chat with our top drivers today here. And in the third spot today, we're going to see the number 58 of Johnny Hurst coming today here in third. Johnny, first off, congratulations getting yourself into the top 3, my friend. And my word, did you have a lot going on down there just trying to hang on to this one. Talk me through this one, buddy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a wild race. That's for sure. I mean, basically it was just first half of the race, just trying to keep my nose clean and stay up toward the front. And that last quarter of the race, man, that was pretty wild.
It was pretty wild, pretty crazy there. And I mean, all around, I mean, you look like, from my point of view, it looked like you had probably the best odds of getting this one into victory lane. You stayed away from the chaos behind. You stayed in control of that bottom lane, and just all of a sudden that little slingshot shootout just caught you off guard. I mean, if you could have done anything differently, would you have done anything else to really try to avoid it, or would you just kind of try to hold that line and hope for the best?
I would have stayed right there. I mean, that last lap, I lost him. He was going to stay tucked right up on me, and when I seen all that happen, there really wasn't much I could do. I seen that 30 car pushing Dawn there, and I kind of knew what was getting ready to happen. If I would have thrown a block, though, I would have just wrecked all three of us, and I didn't want to do that. So I'll take a third.
Take a third and take its podium away today. Johnny, who do you want to thank here for this one?
Want to thank Wagner's Welding. I also want to thank Mike Straminsky and Eric Capathorn for coming on board with some sponsorship. Really appreciate those guys, and just the guys here in the league. Great group of guys.
For sure there, Johnny. Thank you so much for coming on out today. Congratulations bringing it home to a third place today.
Thank you, bud.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the number 58, Johnny Hurst. Coming it away today in the second spot. He is the driver of the number 30 here. This is James Wagner coming away today in the runner-up second place position in Doug and James. Whew, boy, oh boy, my friend. Talk about finding yourself in quite the dilemma and quite the situations at time. But nevertheless, you made a hard charge there with that last bid to get to that second spot.
Yeah, the first part of the race when I was up front, battling with I think Ben Ryan for first and second, I actually brushed the wall a little bit and it actually gave me like 3.5 minutes worth of damage, and I didn't want to use my fast repair, so I finally got it fixed on that last caution without using my fast repair. So I knew it was going to be pretty good trying to come back to the front, and I just held it down.
When Don Francesco went up on that outside lane and basically just kind of took away any little last bit of a dash to try to keep him away from getting that victory there. I mean, really, what was kind of going through your mind, your senses when you were just right in the middle of that sandwich and just trying to hold on?
Yeah, well, when I went up too myself, I knew the top lane was faster really. Besides, trying to push out to the wall, but I was just going to keep it on his bumper and just hope for the best, I guess. And he dragged me through with him. So
Drug you through with him and kept you from getting to the top spot. But I mean, hey, nevertheless, here, James, man, you well and earned this podium today. Who are we thanking today here for second?
I'd like to thank my father, Wagner's Welding, and the other two sponsors that come on with us this season. Got to thank you for the broadcast. I mean, all the drivers that show up to race. Without drivers, we can't make this happen. Without sponsors, we can't do it. And without you, doing the RC and everything, we appreciate that. All my teammates and R&R, Outcast, Brian, Patrick, Shane. Sometimes Nick and Johnny runs with us in other leagues and stuff. And I'd like to thank Timmy for coming back. You just everybody, just all behind the scenes, just everybody. It takes a group to make this work, and I think we got a pretty good group. We got some good stuff going on.
It certainly does take a lot and takes a lot more work than anyone really ever could guess, even when you can see behind the scenes. But nevertheless, James, you certainly get it figured out here today and even shows in your results. Congratulations again today here in second place.
Yep, appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the number 30, James Wagner. And now, our race winner today. He comes to us in the number 24 for the Pepsi Cola machine. Drives the Buick. It's the 24 of Nicholas Don Francesco. And Nicholas, oh my word, good sir. First off, congratulations getting back to victory lane today. But oh my word, sir, you had to go scratching and clawing, and literally of all things, you ran your fastest lap on that last lap of 44.90 just to get one step ahead there of James and Johnny. Talk me through that last bit, buddy.
I'm not even sure what all really happened there, but coming to the white flag, I knew I was gonna have to do something drastic to have a chance at the win, and I think it was a 6 car, an Welding car, whoever it was in front of me, gave me the lane to go right up the middle, and ultimately that's what gave me my opportunity to race side by side with Johnny and Doug to the finish.
Side to the finish and keep it one step ahead of everybody there. I mean, Nicholas, honestly, we've talked about it before and your expertise in these super speedways. Like, what is it that you were able to figure out and you were able to control there, especially considering how loose it is on that outside lane with this car and this setup? These things are by no means anything easy to figure out. I've said these things are the hardest stock car to control and master on super speedways. Like, what is your thoughts on all that?
Well, tires are definitely key in success here. Well, maybe to most people they are, but I was able to use a fresh set of tires and everything else to get to the front there. So, and maybe a little bit of throttle control, lifting here and there in the middle of the corners to maintain the momentum and the gap to the cars around me.
And indeed, you did today here, Nicholas. I got to ask you, as always, buddy, you got yourself back into victory lane. Who do you want to thank you for this one?
I want to thank you for broadcasting, and I want to thank James for his. Or I don't even know who our sponsors are anymore, but so much has changed in the last couple of weeks. But whoever our sponsors are, and obviously all our broadcasters that put on the race for us, and all the people that watch. So, oh, and definitely Pepsi, because yeah, Pepsi's a great product to have on the race car.
It certainly is. I think you kicked a little old school today, bringing it back into victory lane. Nicholas, congratulations getting it done today here in Talladega.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the number 24, Nicholas Don Francesco, getting it done here today in victory lane. And with that, race fans, another one in the books, another one completed. From all of us here at Speed Zone TV, we hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Big thank you again to the sponsors down there over at Precision Fence and Gating, as well as Ipswich Bay Cone Company, and of course James Wagner's Welding. Big thank you to all of them for helping support the show, helping support the driving and the racing scene. From all of us at Speed Zone TV, take care of yourselves out there, everyone. We will see you next time when the green flag flies.
Ruff-Neck Racing would like to thank our sponsor, Wagoner Welding. Wagoner Welding is a family-owned and operated business located in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. They specialize in custom-built truck beds and framework of all types. You can reach them at 336-670-3427 or visit the shop located at 446 DeHart Church Road.